Terence Crawford looks like a great fighter in his prime.
The thing you want to see in Crawford tonight, although we saw him at 141, the Roman's coming from 147 to 140. He's coming from 135 to 140. Can Crawford bring his power from 135 to 140 and be successful?
The reigning, defending, undefeated WBO lightweight champion of the world, Terence Crawford.
If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and enjoy the show. What's up, fight fans? Welcome everybody to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Johnny, and today we're going to be going behind the scenes of some statistics of one of your favorite boxers that I feel often gets overlooked. Yes, guys, we could get impressed with a shiny undefeated record. Terence Crawford has that, 40-0. Yes, guys, we could get impressed with a knockout artist. Bud Crawford is that. He has 31 knockouts. But this video, we're not going to go over that. Recently, we've been discussing a lot about a fighter's strength of schedule. Basically, the roadmap that he had to get through, the path, the journey, the people that he has beaten. When he fought Errol Spence Jr., EJ was undefeated at 28-0. If you look at EJ's record now on BoxRec, it is 28-1. So all the records of when Errol Spence, David Avenetian, Sean Porter, etc. fought Bud, it's that record that is tallied, and the last 10 fighters are as followed. We're going to go over the Errol Spence Jr. fight, the David Avenetian fight, Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Mean Machine, Amir Khan, Jose Benavidez Jr., Jeff Horn, Julius Ndongo, and we're going to finish with the Dominican Felix Diaz. If you tuned in about 2 weeks ago, I did a video on Bud Crawford on his overall career win-loss, all 40 fights, and it's something that kind of could be misconstrued. Data is data, but sometimes data can be deceiving a bit. For instance, when a fighter is climbing up the ranks, and you boxing fans will know this, when you make your pro debut, your coaching staff, your training camp, even you yourself as the fighter, might not really be aware of where you stand. This is why early on in a guy's career, they get faced with a lot of litmus tests. In boxing, there's gatekeepers, there's guys who have these long careers specifically just to get beat, and these things happen. So the first handful of fights, some guys the first 10 fights, some guys the first 20 fights, will be guys with really not that good of records. But as you grow into your career and you get better and better, and maybe you win a belt and maybe you stay undefeated, that competition will get more stiff. So when you see a guy like Bud Crawford who's had 40 pro fights, it's fair to say his last 10 opponents will be a bit more difficult, and I'm being facetious with that, than his first 10 opponents. And the evidence on that is when you take Bud Crawford's all career, his 40 total fights, his opponent's career win-loss percentage, so their strength of schedule, is only at 77%. That is because a handful of those first fights in his career, the guys weren't so good. Now today, let's compare that 77% ratio to Bud's last 10, where he's fighting all champions, former world champions. That career win-loss ratio from EJ to Felix Diaz, 267 wins and only 13 losses. That jumps the winning percentage from 77 total career to 95%. This is a classic case of what have you done for me lately? And Terence Crawford, what he does is he beats really good guys and he beats them in dominant fashion. 95% his opponents have win-loss ratio going into the Bud Crawford fight. Another impressive statistic of Bud Crawford's last 10 victories, 5 of those guys were undefeated. So he not only beat them, he took their O. And this is another thing that as you climb the ranks in your boxing career, you're going to be facing undefeated after undefeated guys. Now, you could look at the Errol Spence Jr. fight as your favorite fight. That was the biggest, the most accomplished in terms of media, press. It really put Bud out there into superstardom. The other 4 undefeated fighters he beat, Mean Machine was 21-0. Jose Benavidez Jr. was 27-0. Don't forget about Jeff Horn. The Aussie was 18-0. And then Julius Ndongo was 22-0. But if I had to say my favorite fight, and I'm not going to say the Errol fight, my favorite fight was actually the Shawn Porter fight. Because in this fight, the scorecards going into that 10th round, some people were saying Bud was losing. It wasn't an easy fight. He's fighting a technical slugger like Shawn Porter, a really tough and gritty guy, somebody who's disciplined, and ultimately finished the fight. So if I had to pick my favorite fight of Terence Crawford, because we got to see Bud become both the hammer and the nail, and he still came out on top. You really learn a lot about a fighter and their mindset, what they're made of when they have some adversity. Guys,
fight inside, outside, look at that patience, mentally together. I just look at you as #1 right now.